Hello and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel, and welcome to today's video market update, a historic weekly close for Bitcoin right over here. It's the first higher high in years. Let's not classify this as a higher high because this was in a downtrend. This was very much the, mid bear market really. So if we actually think about where we are in the cycle, in an uptrend, continuation, uptrend again, this is a very similar market structure. Uptrend, continuation within a dipping sort of structure right over here in a sideways channel, followed by continuation once again. So essentially speaking, this is the analogous situation. This candle close above 11,400 to 11,600 happened in early December of 2017. So for the first time since then, we have a weekly candle close above this level. So fantastic to see that, because last week, or at least the week prior to last week, we saw a weekly candle close just by an inch above this previous area of supply. And last week we saw this previous area of supply turn into a new area of demand. So fantastic to see that we're going to most likely springboard from here, because this candle right over here has a very long downward wick. It's a hammer candle, but it's very volatile in any case. And if you see a bullish hammer candlestick formation form on any time frame, that's usually a good sign for reversal. And just to see a volatile candle like this on a high time frame as the weekly, just to see that, is a very good boost of confidence, especially if we claim a previous area of historical supply, a strong area of resistance. Claiming this as a new support is a big deal. So a historic close for Bitcoin, fantastic news. But we're also going to be talking about historic events, technical events, when it comes to Litecoin in just a moment. So I'm very happy to be waking up to historic technical events in the form of a weekly candle close above a previous area of supply for Bitcoin, and for Litecoin to breach its downtrend, its multi-year downtrend. But before we talk about Litecoin, let's focus on Bitcoin on the daily time frame. It's doing very well. It's doing very well. Every time it's rebounded from this higher low right over here, just signifies to us that we're still in an uptrend. But of course, we have this area of resistance right over here, this uptrend line forming and rejecting price, because of course we're seeing FOMO wicks past this level of resistance a few times on a few occasions. So a daily candle close above here would really allow us to challenge for 12,000 to 12,300. So that's the next strong resistance area. And we've just been hanging here. We've been consolidating at these highs. So we really need to get that daily candle close. And judging by this weekly candle close, it's still a very bullish predicament. Even if we were to dip to this green area once again, that would probably coincide with Bitcoin essentially revisiting the uptrend line in its daily formation, which is over here. So a dip to around 11,400, right? So that's the order block. That's the order block right over here. That's the weekly order block. So even if we rejected here and still held this higher low, we're still in an uptrend. We're still in this supposed continuation structure, and Bitcoin is still very well positioned on the weekly to do very well in the weeks to come. So fantastic news. But let's dive in and talk about Litecoin, which recently broke its multi-year downtrending resistance. For many years, altcoins have been retracing, and a lot of those altcoins have retraced anything between 80 to 95%. But whenever you see a long-standing resistance trend line, a downtrending resistance, once you see that break, like we're seeing on Litecoin, that coin isn't going to go any lower at most. It could potentially retest this downtrend as a new support before going higher once again, but that's not even a guarantee. It's not a given. So it's great to see a breakout from this downtrend. So the downtrend is finally over. Bitcoin broke its downtrend a few weeks ago. Ethereum broke its multi-year resistance as well, and now we're seeing Litecoin really follow suit. So you're seeing all these cryptocurrencies synchronize with one another. Some coins lead, other coins follow and lag, but overall it's a trending market and all assets will rise, but not at the same time. which is why it's very useful to watch for these coins like Litecoin, as well as a few majors that we'll talk about in a second. It's good to look at these coins which aren't really doing much. They're supposedly boring, as they're boring coins because they're not really doing much in terms of price action. They're not really volatile. Those are the coins to keep an eye on because there might be something brewing there. And Litecoin is a great example of that because we're seeing this downtrend really break. So Litecoin is going to rally into $66. And a lot of people who haven't bought Litecoin yet and missed out on this rally, they're going to be hoping that this resistance will reject price, because if it doesn't reject from here, we're going to see $80 Litecoin quite soon. So if this is a rejection, we'll get a dip, and that's a fantastic dip to make the most of, because that could even pull back towards this downtrending resistance to turn it as a support. But even if we don't get that dip, $80 for Litecoin. In any case, great to see this downtrend is finally over for Litecoin, so a new trend emerges. So just looking at the money flow cycle in crypto, we are firmly in the large cap phase for the money flow cycle. Of course, Bitcoin is still inching upwards, but we're still very much in this phase. We're still seeing trickling capital go towards large caps. And Ethereum recently broke out from its bull flag formation, and on the dip, you notice that large cap volume and large cap money was flowing into other large caps. So let's have a look at a few of those. EOS right over here, a flagging structure, and it broke out. So remember guys, Ethereum had a bull flag and it broke out from there. And then once Ethereum started to retrace a bit, you saw that capital flow into other large caps which had very similar market structures. EOS broke out. Litecoin broke out as well, and Bitcoin Cash is breaking out as well. But notice how, yes, all of these have identical market structures and they're actually following Ethereum. So Ethereum is actually leading the market, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually lagging behind the market. If you look at this market structure right over here, Bitcoin hasn't broken out from here, so it's lagging in its current market structure while Ethereum is actually leading the market. But you can actually notice that these are identical market structures for EOS, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. But referring to that synchronicity that I mentioned earlier on in the video, you'll notice that there are differing stages in the uptrend. Not all assets are rallying at the same time. EOS is actually leading out of all of these three. Litecoin is second, and Bitcoin Cash is only just budding and breaking out. But you can notice how Bitcoin Cash is actually lagging behind Litecoin, and Litecoin is lagging behind EOS. So we'll notice how Bitcoin Cash tries to catch up with Litecoin and catch up with EOS until they've all synchronized and correlated all together to have reached their final destinations. So that's something to bear in mind, because Bitcoin Cash has recently claimed this reference point for price as a new support, because as you can see here, this is a zone of rejection, historically speaking. You can see strong rejections from here, but once we claim this level as a support, we see rallies towards the upside, and these rallies have been lessening in their rebound. We've been seeing a declining in profits from this area of support, but in any case, that still means there is a significant amount of upside for Bitcoin Cash still potentially to enjoy, as long as it reaches this downtrending resistance. And that's something that I'm going to be watching for. Of course, we'll see FOMO wicks past this area where you'll see people talking to other people. You should definitely buy Bitcoin Cash. This FOMO stage is somewhere that we shouldn't be actually buying. If anything, this is where we should be de-risking and offloading our position, because these transient rallies are very short-lived and they revert back into the structure, actually faking out. But of course, we are still in a phase of a market where Bitcoin Cash could actually break past this level of resistance, especially since we've seen Litecoin do so well to break past its multi-year resistance. This is actually a multi-month. It's a year-long resistance for Bitcoin Cash. It's not out of the question that we won't see a breakout past this point, but we have to bear in mind that we've seen rejection from this point, and we'd like to see a weekly close above this downtrending resistance, because once we get that, we'll see this downtrend end and a new trend emerge for Bitcoin Cash. But so far, this is my thesis until proven otherwise. This is where I think Bitcoin Cash could rally towards the 400 region, maybe even overextend in the form of a FOMO wick. If it's not a FOMO wick and it's a little bit more substantial and less transient, then that's fantastic. We'll probably see a breakout past this point. But that's something I'm watching for in terms of the lagging Bitcoin Cash, because Bitcoin Cash is actually lagging behind Litecoin and EOS, not to mention Ethereum. And finally, this was a coin that I was speaking about last week. Tezos has broken out from its symmetrical triangle, and this was essentially a accumulation range, a slanting accumulation range, price compression into the apex of this triangle before further continuation. But we have to also bear in mind that even though we broke out from this symmetrical triangle, we're still in this sideways range at highs, and Tezos is still looking very promising in the fact that it could follow Chainlink in its uptrend into new highs and potentially price discovery later on as well. But what Tezos needs to do is to claim this level as a support, and it's unfortunate that it weekly closed below this level because this is still a resistance. But you'll notice on the daily time frame, we're still wrestling with this point. It's still trying to claim it as a support, and as long as it does that, we'll see further upside for Tezos going forward. And having said that, that's about it for today's video update. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider dropping a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak soon.